Good evening. Good evening. How you guys doing? We're here today. How's the mic going? How's everybody? Took a couple of days off. I'm back right now, and we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff that's going on with California in general. California, that is. So stay tuned and watch out. Today we're going to be looking at a lot of things. I want you to take a look at this. I want you to take a look at this right here. You tell me. Oh, it's my voice. What's that? You tell me. We're going to be talking about the AB60 driver's license. This is for the illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, unhoused immigrants, unhoused, undocumented people, dreamers, whatever you call them. Senate Bill 75. Children and teens under the age of 19 to fully access Medi-Cal benefits. Senate Bill 104. California Values Act. Safer schools for immigrants. Immigrant worker protection. Dignity, not detention. Okay? October 27th also. You know, this is Governor Jerry Brown. That's a different governor. That was back, but these bills are still active till today. They're still active, and we're going to be taking a look at each one and seeing what they're about. Because if you're California and you know you're a millennium generation X, you're concerned with your future. You're concerned with what's going on in your community. So now we see that freedom to access productive health service. Now let's see what they gotta say. Let's see what they gotta say.
Hello everyone, welcome to Prioritizing Equity. I am Chief Health Equity Officer Letha Maybank at the American Medical Association. Thank you for joining us for a new
Letha Maybank.
episode in the Prioritizing Equity series.
Always make sure you look at the names. Make sure you look at the names. This sounds like a foreigner.
Today's conversation is one in many ways that I really never thought we would need to have. As the AMA has shared over the past month since the United States Supreme Court's ruling, we're deeply concerned about the impact of the decision on patients' access to the full spectrum.
And now, she's Caribbean. You know she's African. He's Asian. And she might be Hispanic. She's Hispanic. So there's no Americans here. She might, the Hispanic might be American, and the Asian too.
Reproductive health care options, on the patient-physician relationship, and on our ethical obligation to help patients choose the optimal course of treatment and the practice of medicine overall. And so with this ruling, our collective abilities to really advance equity, to create equitable health systems, and really to ensure optimal health.
Equity health system, translation to the common people, is basically Americans to pay. Let me draw you something. Let me write you something right here. Let me show you how I look at this. Okay. We're gonna come right here. Okay. Americans. First generation. Okay. First gen. Copy. Second gen. Let me show you what's going on here. Okay. I'm only gonna do 3. First gen. Okay. Asian. European. And who else? Middle Eastern. Also Persia, Turk, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, who else? I already put Arab there, right? Okay, and etc. Malaysian, Indonesian, you know, the rest of them. The whole gang. That's Afghan. And then we have, that's about it. Okay. Now, this right here is the box, is the table. Okay. You know what? Let's put a row. Okay. This is upper class. Middle class. Lower class. Okay. Now, everybody wants to be here in the upper class, right? Let's fill this in with blue. Okay, and then this one we'll fill with yellow, and this one is red. Means you're in danger. Sometimes it could not mean, it might not mean that. Okay. And then let me put, sorry for saying all the time, but I'm thinking while I'm going. Now, the first generation black, second generation, let me put white, and then white, black, mix, this is what we're having right here. This is the problem. This is what's gonna happen. This is how I see it. Okay, so everybody was here. Everybody's here right now, and we're starting out. This was 1980 or 1970. Okay, now these people right here are trying to get to the middle class, but they got a deal. Okay, they're right there. They're trying to get to middle class, but some of them made it. Okay, we know the whites made it.
Teams can stay connected while they track updates and visualize timelines. Asana, a smarter way to learn.
Commercial interruption. Okay, only a few of them made it here. Let me see. Let me insert another. Insert going to the left. Okay. Okay, they got it right here. Second generation, they got it. But American first generation black are still here. I'm not saying first generation. You know that we're like, the blacks over here are like been here for millions of years. So, you know, indigenous. Indigenous blacks. Okay. Now the whites came in here. Now these are the ones that came here like at 1940. They came here at 1940 to 1960, and they're still coming in here. Okay. Then we see that these people here, to get up here, they brought in these people over here. They came in. They've been here though, but they came in right here. Okay, let me do this right here. Okay, let me put 1970, 1980, 1990, and then insert row to the left. I should have done it to the right. And 2000. (2010) 2020. Okay, so we look at it right here. Okay, they brought them in, they started doing their stuff, and then all of a sudden, you see where the blacks are still here. You see how they're still here, and the whites, they're right here, and the whites, black, and mix. Okay, we see in 1980, the only person that moved up was Caucasian. Then we saw 1990 Middle Easterns coming in. Then, and we also saw, don't forget, we also saw South Americans and Asians coming in right around here. And in the 1990s also. Let's not forget that. Yeah, and exactly the lower class also. They were also the lower class. The Hispanics and the Hispanics came in right here. I got them right here. So we see that right there. Now this is when, the reason why I say this is because this is when a lot of growth was happening in the American and the white community. They have the Staples Centers, they have the Kmart, they have the Walmart, they have the Ralphs, they have the SpaceX, they have the Ford, Chrysler, Mazda, not Mazda, but Buick. They have all the corporate. They have the Boeing. They have the YouTube. The YouTube was around back then, but they had the .com era. They have all the technologies. They have the spacecraft. You name it, the white person controls it. They have it. They have all the martial arts. They have all the fast food. They have all the nice restaurants, or what they consider nice, the Denny's, the IHOPs, all those family restaurants. Okay? They control all the construction, the mineral resource, the land, the property rights. It's white only. It's white only. That's what we have, white only. Now, when we say white, we're also talking about, remember, white could be Arab, African, or even Asian. Okay? So we gotta be careful when we say white only. Then we come over here to South America, 2000, and then we have Asians here. They're middle class. And then 2020, we see the Asians come over here. And then we see 2010. It's the white only right there. And then we have the Asian generation. First generation. So you see how the first generation made it to the top? You see how the first generation made it to the top? And then they're going to have the second generation right here. Copy. And then you see how they have the third. This will be third generation. Coming up. Okay. Only whites. 2%. This was 1%. And then this was 0.05%. And then we're just gonna say private party. Private party. Okay, so we're going over here. The reason why I put it 1%, 0.5%, is because there's a lot of people who became millionaires off of social media, invested, and digital currency. So Asians are there. So we see how the Asians migrated from where they start off at. Where the Asians start off at. Hold on, please. And remember, Asians can also mean. Okay, that I put it right here, but I want to make it separate. I want to make the Asians separate. Okay, Asians. Oh man, how is it doing it? Put this one here. Oh snap. Oh snap. Okay. So we have this right here. And hold on, please. Let me move this up. I'm trying to adjust everything correctly so that we have everything in order before I start the video. So we see how the Asians started from low class, and then they moved up to middle class, and then they moved up to upper class. You see right here, upper class. All right, and we see the Arabs, the Middle Easterns. They got up there. They've been up there though. Because a lot of them classify as white, so that's why I put the 1.5%. But they've always been up here though. Really, they've always been right there. A lot of them, but there's a lot of them that are lower class though. You know, so I'm gonna put them down here, and I'm gonna put them right here. Okay, we see the middle class. We see that right there. Whites, Asian, and Middle Easterns. They progressed from when they came here, lower class, to the middle class, and then went up to the upper class. Hispanics over here, South Americans, yeah, 1990 they started showing up. They're already here though. They were already here though, but they're showing up right now, and they're here. They're here too. I want a copy. Okay. Really? How many commercials are you gonna show? Damn, man. South American. Yeah, they've been all over the place. They've been here. They're here. They're here too. So we see that they came up here, South American right here. Okay. And we see that now they're trying to go to the upper class. Now they're trying to get to the upper class. Okay? So they're trying to elevate their way up from lower class to middle class. Now they're trying to get to the upper class with the whites, the Asians, and the middle class. But look where the black people are. They're still here. What are they still doing here? Why are they still here? Huh? How come they haven't moved? How come they haven't gained no grounds or made any progression? What happened? What's going on? How come they're not getting nothing? I don't see them middle class. I don't see them in the upper class. I don't see them moving up. So everybody's moving up. That's international. Now, let me see here. Hang on, do we see any whites? No, we really don't. We don't really see any whites moving up to the middle class and the upper class. We still see the same white people on the top who were there the whole time. The only option a white man has is go to war, kill innocent people, come back, get a 0% interest on their home, and get free access, discounts, and memberships to events, traveling. They could fly for free to the countries that are not under terrorist or sanctions. They get a discount. They go to a job, they get a first pick, they automatically become your boss. I was in the military. Okay, you're in charge. Okay, that's how it works. And we see that right here. They're still here because a lot of times when they get to the middle class, they understand how hard it is and how tough it is, and that things are not easy. They're having problems with side effects. Things get hard. You know, they have PTS, post-traumatic stress disorder. Something goes wrong at work. They fall back on their military aid, and then their health starts to get bad. So now they have to go back to the veteran to get assistance. You know, it's also their way of surviving. You know, don't want to get into details, but we see that right here. Now, how are the Hispanics? Basically, a lot of them are illegal, going to make it up here to the upper class. Well, that's when we come over here.
Oh, it's actually very challenging.
Prioritizing equity.
Building off the legacy of, reproductive healthcare advocacy and reproductive justice of folks like Sister Song, who really led that movement years ago. There are people across the country who are really committed and committing their careers to this work. I'm grateful to be in discussion today with three powerful and impactful leaders. I first welcome Dr. Jamila Piret.
Okay. Now she's talking about health service. achieving universal access. And when they say achieving universal access, they're also talking about overseas. Something is going on in Kenya, something is going on in
50%
Israel.
of the world's population does not have access to essential health services. 500 million people have been pushed into extreme poverty by health expenses they cannot afford. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated this situation through limiting access to health services, including essential sexual and reproductive health. As a result, the World Health Organization, in partnership with multiple stakeholders, is developing tools and guidance to support countries in their efforts towards achieving universal health.
This is not our job. As Americans, yes, go out and help. But it's not our job to help the whole world. That's not our job. We are not paying taxes so you could fly over to Kosovo and provide health for them and pocket 80% of it. Because only you know the contract. We don't know the contract. See, this is the problem I have with a lot of people. They're going around voting. They're saying vote. They haven't looked at the bill yet. They haven't looked at the contract. Does it benefit you? What do you get out of it? That's how you got to think. When they told me to vote for Gavin Newsome, I said, what has he done for me? They got upset because I said that. And then they came back and asked me again, vote for the Democrats. I was like, for what? To replace me? I mean, what am I voting for the Democrats for? Everybody they bring in here hate me. They don't like me. Not like that though, but So, they come here, they say, you don't have no culture. This is what they tell the black people. They don't have no culture. They don't have this. They don't have that. They don't have that. But a lot of them fled from their country, not because, some of them is because they wanted a better life. A lot of them, they are asylum seekers. They come from communist country. They were kicked out of power. They fled over here. Them and their people. They basically, over there, what happens in the Middle East is what they brought to California. With the Asians over here, the Japanese over here, the Hispanics over here, the Armenians over here. That's what they do in the Middle East. That's what they do in these countries. They're bringing that system over here to America. We don't do that. We all try to live together except the white racist people. They didn't want to. And they learned their lesson. Okay? They don't tell you about the non-slave states and the slave states. They want to say that everywhere was a slave state. They're putting us as victims. We cannot support the whole world. The world, we need to stop sanctuaring countries. We need to stop sanctuaring the countries. Stop putting countries on tariffs. Stop blocking their transportation routes. And let countries develop. We know why they cannot develop is because we have to have a stronghold. America has to have a stronghold. The United States government has to have a stronghold. And everybody must use the dollar, or it's a threat to the United States corporation. So we see there. But the fact of, all this stuff sounds good, but when it comes down and you start reading about it, you start to see that this is not about Americans.
Coverage, including for sexual and reproductive health and rights. Universal health coverage means that individuals and communities receive the health services they need without financial hardship. Achieving.
Who's going to pay for this? Our healthcare. When you look at your W-2 form, W-4 form, Okay. Basically, let me see. Maybe it's W-2. Okay, I messed up. What are they withholding from us? Okay. Let me see image. Maybe I could find it faster. If I had... Okay, here we go. This might be maybe one good example. Oh, show yourself. Alright, so here we see... It will say over here. It will say... It will tell you how much stuff is deducted. Damn, where is it at? Medical wages, $23,500. Medicare tax withholding, $340. Social Security wages, I took it out. Oh, okay, so it's the same with that one. Okay, federal income tax. Okay, so this person, but Medicare will be up there, because when you look at your W-2 forms, you will see that it will have something like this: California Medicare. Then it will have something else for Medi-Cal, and then it will have state Medi-Cal. Then it will have federal. Then it will have something else: Medicare wages and tips. And it will have a lot of it. By the time you read it and look how much they took out, they already took out $250 to $400 of your paycheck. And if you make more, they're going to take out more. Okay? We have to pay for this. These things sound good. Yes, they sound really, really good. But we're the ones that have to pay for it. And that means less time spending with our family and loved ones, because we're out here working for the whole world. Here we go. Medical wages, Social Security wages, Medicare tax withholding, Social Security tax withholding. Okay? And then we have that also. What do we have here? Sewer wages, state, local. It just goes on and on. So we see at the end of the year how much they've taken out of us. Okay? We've seen how much they've taken. So this guy only made $45,839. Okay? Now, when he does his taxes and everything, he's going to find out how much he paid into Medicare. And the problem is that when you go to the hospital, you still have to pay. You still have to pay 80%. I remember when I was working at the bank and they told us to pay for dental. They said they help us out with dental. So I'm making the payments. I'm part of the insurance program. They said dental, everything. They gave me prices. Okay, if you want to come down here and get your, I see you got dental. You work at Wells Fargo. All right. So you want to get on your teeth cleaned? Okay, that'll be $100. Okay, I have copay. Okay, that will be $90. And I'm like, wait a minute. What does the copay do? When would you like to set your appointment? I'm like, wait a minute. The copay don't even pay for nothing. Then when you get there, you gotta pay again. Not just the copay, you gotta pay for other stuff. While, guess who? While immigrants get free healthcare. They get free healthcare. So you see how they're moving up? They're starting to get this for free. Things are starting to move in their direction, in their way.
And this will call for strengthening health systems resilience, underpinned by primary health care. In response, together with partners, WHO has developed a handbook
World
on
Health
critical
Organization.
considerations and actions for achieving universal access to sexual and reproductive health in the context of universal health coverage through a primary healthcare approach. This is designed for decision makers, researchers, specialists, civil society organizations,
Uh, I can't say
and
that.
anyone working towards universal access to sexual and reproductive health services. It provides a blend of strategic actions for planning and implementing national health policies and for including sexual and reproductive health services in health benefit packages.
It all sounds good.
American Dream and Promise Act of 2025. Let's break. What exactly is the American Dream and Promise Act of 2025? Let's break it down. This bipartisan bill aims to provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, TPS holders, and DED recipients, people who built their lives here but lack permanent legal status. Did you know dreamers alone contribute over $6 billion in federal taxes each year? This act isn't just about fairness, it's smart economics. So what do you think? Should these individuals finally get the security of citizenship? Drop your thoughts below. What exactly is the American Dream and Promise Act of 2025? Let's break it down. This bipartisan bill aims to provide a pathway.
Wait. Do we have a chance to vote? The doc babies, the anchor babies, they're in their 20s right now. They're already having kids. And we know for each household that came here from 1970, 1980 to 2020 right now, if 10 million came in here, then it'll be 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. So close, it will be basically, there's 45 million. But 20 million could be legal citizens because they're anchor babies and they've had kids already, starting from age 16 to 20 to 30. And they're popping out 2 to 3 kids. So they multiply by 3. That's a lot. So the majority party is going to be Hispanics. That's not fair that they came in illegally and now they're the majority, but still claiming to be minority, benefited. Okay, this is the Democrats at work. So we're not going to have a chance to vote. Our vote does not count. White people's vote don't count, except if they're in Orange County. But is that enough vote? Is everybody voted? Because that's the biggest white population right there is Orange County. The rest is Hispanics. So what's the point of voting? I mean, we don't have a chance to vote.
For dreamers, TPS holders, and DED recipients.
The sad part about it is that we didn't get the dream. Or I got the dream. But a lot of black people didn't get the dream. They didn't receive the dream. They were denied. They were blocked. When I say you're denied, you're blocked, is basically they put a system and a blockade on the black people from moving forward. Now, you're a black woman doing good, but you got 3 brothers, 2 sisters struggling, and you always have to give them money because they're always losing their jobs to immigrants. Benefits and privileges don't come their way. They have to borrow money to get a house. They don't qualify for the loan because they're not illegal. They don't qualify for the schools or the Medicare because they're not illegal. because they're U.S. citizen. So basically, their money is not going to them. It goes to illegals, so they don't benefit. What happened? So we see. What the hell? What happened to my documents? It just disappeared. What just happened? Something just happened to everything I was doing. Some weird stuff going on here. Hold on, please. Hold on. I apologize. I don't know what just happened right here. Access denied. What the hell? No, that's not it. Hey, where's what I was looking at? Hey, my stuff just disappeared. Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. There's some weird stuff right there. Man. Okay, let's listen to what you got to say.
People who built their lives here but lack permanent legal status.
Because they came in illegally.
Contribute over $6 billion in federal taxes each year. This act isn't.
It's not fair. Because now our votes don't count.
Hi, I'm Gen Z. What are the name of those flat...
The hell?
The tickets! What?
What exactly is the American Dream and Promise Act of 2025? Let's break it down. This bipartisan bill aims to provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, TPS holders...
A pathway to citizenship. $14 years ago. So they've been planning.
Whether you're a contractor or a master technician, Harbor Freight understands your job depends upon reliable.
All day long, images like these poured into our newsroom. Tens of thousands of undocumented young immigrants coming out of the shadows. This is the day the president's new initiative begins to take hold, giving them a chance at the legal right to work and live openly in this country. And ABC's David Wright was there as the line stretched into the distance.
They have been hiding in plain sight. Neighbors, classmates, and workers with no legal right to be here. Today, some of the youngest members of this community began stepping out of the shadows. Among them, Sofia Campos, born in Peru.
I've been here since I was 6 years old. I'm an American in every single sense of the word, except for that 9-digit social security number.
Without that number, she couldn't apply for financial aid. That's how she first learned about her immigration status. Her parents had been too ashamed to tell her.
As undocumented members of this community, we are often living in the shadows every day because of shame, because of fear of deportation.
For Sofia, that changes today. A new initiative from the Obama administration will grant temporary work permits and remove the threat of deportation for young people who qualify. You have to be under 31 and have arrived here by age 16. You have to be in school, graduated, or served in the military, and no criminal record. Of the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants, as many as 1.5 million may qualify. Undocumented immigrants, as many as one record. Of the estimated 11 qualified, you have to be under 31.
Under 31.
And have arrived here by age 16.
Arrived here. Okay, so a lot of them do not qualify, but their kids do. So even if I'm not gonna go there because I don't know though.
You have to be in school, graduated,
Oh, you have to be
or served in the military.
okay. So even the anchor babies, there's battles going on in court right now. They're battling it out in court right now as we speak because they didn't come in the right way. It's not fair to other people because our votes are not going to count no more. And that's not fair that they took our money, our taxes to build their community, and then now they're the community. They're 80% in California. And the Democrats control their votes. Because the Democrats control the black votes. They control the white votes. When the white people wanted more pay, they got rid of them and brought the black people. When the Democrats control the black people. And then when the black people asked for more, what do? They replaced us with Asians and Hispanics. So that's what we're seeing here.
And no criminal record.
No criminal record. So that's what ICE is going for. So ICE is going to work its way back. It's going to go from no criminal record to are you in school or served in the military. That's why you see a lot of the Hispanic kids going to graduate school.
And no criminal record. Arrived here by age 16, you have to be in school, graduated, or served in the military. And no by age 16.
Okay. Did you come here under age 31 legally? A lot of those parents will be sent back to their country. Did you come before age 16? So ICE is going to run it down the line. They're going to start from illegal to what are you doing here?
For young people who qualify. You have to be under 31 and have arrived here by age 16.
This is how they're going to get everybody at the end.
You have to be in school, graduated, or served in the military.
This is what they're going to be coming after after they finish getting out all the legals.
And no criminal record.
And
Of the
no criminal record is what ICE is going after right now. Then it's that next one. Then it's the last one that we've seen right there.
Estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants. As many as 1.5 million may qualify.
My name is Leader Lena. I'm from Monterrey.
1.5 million. This is 12 years ago. This guy already got kids. They're all grown up. They're in high school, going to college.
My dream.
So there's 20 million right here. So back then in 12, they said 1 million. So maybe 6 million to 8 million might qualify.
Is to open a community center.
They now have a chance to seize the American dream.
From Mexico City, my dream is to be an urban planner.
In Chicago and Houston and LA, the lines have been growing all day. The new program has many critics who call it an end run around Congress.
It is no coincidence that this sweeping policy change was announced less than 5 months before a presidential election.
But for Sophia Campos, it's a godsend. She graduated with honors from UCLA. Now she hopes to go to MIT for grad school. This is going to be as important as your diploma.
More.
That's good. She got an education. They got to get to education.
Has a lot of people, including the Stanislaus County Police Chief, bringing up SB 54, California's sanctuary state law. So what exactly does the law say, and could this death have been prevented if it weren't for the law? It's complicated, so let's connect the dots. California's sanctuary state law, SB 54, sometimes called the California Values Act, was signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown in October of 2017. To say it's controversial is an understatement. Essentially, the law says in many cases, police can't investigate, question, or arrest people just because they think they might be undocumented. They're not allowed to use state and local resources to help ICE deport people, and it limits them from sharing the release dates of some county jail inmates who are in the country illegally.
And this is what ICE has been complaining about, and this is why they had to bring in the federal, then Homeland Security, then the National Guard, and then they just had to put it to them. They had to bring in the Marines.
Legally. But it doesn't mean local law enforcement can't work with immigration officials, period. In fact, one of the exceptions to the rule is that SB 54 does not prevent cooperation between law enforcement and immigration officials when it comes to a person who is charged with any of the hundreds of serious offenses listed in the Trust Act.
Which is false because, as we see, LA cops will not get involved when the ICE agents or the Fed agents call the police over. They park in the corner, they come out with their hands on their hips, and they're like, what you want me to do? What you want me to do? You know? That's what I see.
Yeah, we're talking about things like assault, battery, sexual abuse, rape, burglary, robbery, theft, forgery, gang-related offenses, the list goes on. But now, here's where it gets murky when it comes to the killing of Officer Singh. One of those offenses in the Trust Act that would be a time when law enforcement can cooperate with ICE is a felony DUI. We know that the suspect, Gustavo Perez Arriaga, had 2 prior DUI arrests. We don't know the specifics of those arrests, but unless someone was killed from them, it's likely they were simply considered misdemeanors, not felonies, meaning it's likely they would have been covered by SB 54. So can we say that no sanctuary state would have prevented Officer Singh's death? Of course not, and many times it is up to the local law enforcement to determine how much they enforce these laws. But it is certainly an issue to consider as this investigation continues.
Okay, let it continue. What really happened outside the Paramount Home Depot? What we're looking at is that it began on Saturday. They went into the Home Depot. They didn't go into. I think they work. They have their building next to Home Depot. But there's bushes that block it, and it's on the other side. I think a lot of you guys saw that when there was a protest in Paramount, you know. So we know what happened there. Okay.
To have a place to go. Can undocumented immigrants get a driver's license in California? Imagine a bustling California street where cars zip by and everyone seems to have a place to go. But what if you are unable to drive because of your immigration status? This situation affects many individuals living in the state. Today, we will look into whether undocumented immigrants can obtain a driver's license in California. In 2013, California passed Assembly Bill 60, which allows individuals who cannot prove their legal presence in the United States to apply for a driver's license. This law was designed to improve road safety by ensuring that all drivers have the necessary skills and knowledge to operate a vehicle. To apply for this driver's license, applicants must meet several requirements. They need to provide proof of identity and California residency. Acceptable documents can include a foreign passport, a consular identification card, or other identification forms. Additionally, applicants must pass the written, vision, and driving tests, just like any other driver. It is important to note that the driver's license issued under Assembly, Bill 60 will have a distinctive marking indicating that it is not valid for federal identification purposes. This means that while the license allows individuals to drive legally in California, it cannot be used for federal identification needs, such as boarding an airplane or entering federal buildings.
Or getting a job.
Since the implementation of this law, many undocumented immigrants have successfully obtained their driver's licenses, allowing them greater mobility and access to job opportunities. This change has also contributed to safer roads, as more drivers are now licensed and insured. In conclusion, California has taken steps to provide undocumented immigrants with the opportunity to obtain a driver's license, promoting safety and inclusion on the roads. If you or someone you know is in this situation, understanding the requirements and process can make a significant difference.
Wow. Okay, so they're giving them ITIN that allows them to file tax returns. That's where they're saying that the $9 billion goes. And then the ITIN does not provide eligibility for Social Security benefits. The main reason for ineligibility is the absence of work authorization. Alternative compliance methods for the tax laws do not equate to receiving a Social Security number. A lot of rules are being broken left and right. A lot. See, this is why you gotta know the law.
File tax returns and report their income, but it is not the same as a Social Security number and does not grant them eligibility for Social Security benefits too. In summary, undocumented immigrants cannot get a Social Security number because they do not meet the necessary criteria of having work authorization from the Department of Homeland Security. While there are alternative ways for them to comply with tax laws, such as using an IDEN, this does not equate to receiving a Social Security number or the associated benefits.
So we're learning because we gotta know. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people are concerned with the basketball game.
To learn more, check out these links, which you can click and
They want to know what some celebrities doing.
Efforts to turn the Golden State into a sanctuary for illegal immigrants, even offering zero-down mortgages to help them buy homes.
What?
Assembly Bill 1840, which passed the California Senate Appropriations Committee along party lines, would amend the California Dream for all shared appreciation loan program to include non-citizens if it becomes law. The bill was authored by Democrat Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula and provides down payment assistance of up to 20%.
Joaquin? Wait. See, people receive information, but they don't want to define. They don't want to ask questions. What's that name again? We gotta know. Joaquin. What's her name? Oh, that's her? That's Joaquin?
to learn more, check out these links, which you can click in the description below.
Oh, wrong one.
An Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula.
Joaquin Arambula. You already know he's not American. Or she. Joaquin Arambula. Who's Joaquin Arambula? Joaquin. Oh, Joaquin. I spelled it wrong way. Joaquin is with a J. Joaquin Arambula. Member of the California, he's a Democrat. State Assembly, Arambula, he's a Democrat. Oh. Juan Arambula. Juan. Bowdoin College. He's a Catholic. So he's a Catholic. He must be, I'm not saying he's, but he's related to the Vatican. So he has an order. He is a Democrat, representing the 31st Assembly District, which encompasses southern and western Fresno County. He supports the Hispanic community, and his objective is to... What is his objective?
Non-citizens if it becomes law. The bill was authored by Democrat Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula and provides down payment assistance of up to 20% for first-time homebuyers who are illegal immigrants. These loans require no monthly payments or interest.
Now, you know Joaquin got a back-end deal for that one. You know something's going on. He's working with the cartels, he's working with their Mexican families, the Brown Coalition, all of them. How the hell are you giving illegal immigrants homes and they're not even U.S. citizens? You know why? Because they got away with it with businesses. You go into a lot of these businesses in California, they don't speak English. Their signs are Spanish. The community is Hispanic. Okay? So basically, in your face, they're telling you that this is going to be a Spanish country. This is going to be Hispanics only, with the Middle Easterns, the Persians, the Armenians, and the Asians here. And whites and black people kicked out. So he's getting 57%, 63%. So he's doing good. His parties, his people know him. His community know him. He's a public servant. He's working for his people. You see, this is the numbers you get when you're working for your people, and your people know who you are. You see that? Okay.
With the original loan amount plus 20% of any home value increase due only when the mortgage is refinanced or the home is sold. This effectively allows illegal immigrants to purchase homes in California without ever making a monthly payment or paying interest, living in the home without any out-of-pocket costs. Arambula justifies this by saying the social and economic benefits of homeownership should be available to everyone, suggesting that the California Dream for All program should extend to all residents, regardless of their immigration status. Critics argue that this plan is unfair, especially as millions of American citizens and legal residents struggle to afford homes without such generous incentives. AB 1840 is seen as prioritizing illegal immigrants over citizens and legal residents, pushing those who belong in California to the back of the line while favoring those who entered the country illegally. Furthermore, California is currently facing a $60 billion budget deficit, which opponents like San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond argue makes AB 1840 fiscally irresponsible. The bill still needs to pass the Democrat-controlled state Senate before reaching Governor Gavin Newsome, who is expected to sign it into law. A similar program already exists in Oregon, where the taxpayer-funded Hacienda Community Development Corporation helps low-income residents purchase homes as long as they are not U.S. citizens. Many see this as deeply unfair, particularly those who have worked hard to achieve homeownership without such assistance. As one commenter noted, they and their spouse, both Marine veterans, had to make significant sacrifices to buy a home, while illegal immigrants are being fast-tracked with government support. Others warn that if Kamala Harris becomes president, similar policies could spread across the United States, giving illegal immigrants priority over citizens.
We already have that here in California. Second, Kamala Harris is going to be running again. So, be careful.
Critics argue that some U.S. politicians, particularly Democrats, seem more interested in replacing American citizens with illegal immigrants.
For votes. Don't get it twisted. Alright, let me get off my station, man.
With a professional website that reflects.
An exclusive interview on Fox 11 this evening with Border Patrol as their agents scatter across LA County to help ICE with undocumented immigrant apprehensions.
Their work with ICE the last 2 weeks has led to protests here and across the whole country.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf live in video tonight with more. Matthew?
Yeah, we've seen those protests against ICE, against Border Patrol, but now we're hearing from Border Patrol as they ramp up their efforts. Anti-ICE protest and tension boiling over across LA. Fueled by recent immigration enforcement operations outside businesses
Wild.
and a swap meet.
We'll go anywhere that our intelligence and our experience takes us.
Border Patrol Assistant Chief David Kim Tuesday speaking exclusively with Fox 11.
It is a little bit out of the ordinary to see Border Patrol here in Los Angeles.
He and his team here working with ICE following President Trump's order to expand deportation efforts across the country.
We're here in Los Angeles, deep in the heart of sanctuary territory, and it is a lot more difficult to make these arrests.
This is the scene Tuesday in Pico Rivera as Border Patrol apprehended non-U.S. citizens outside a Walmart.
He was trying to help.
Adrian Martinez's mother spoke with Fox 11 and said her son was arrested for trying to help those getting apprehended.
He was telling them, leave him alone. He's just working.
The narrative right now is just a U.S. citizen was arrested for no reason, but that subject punched 2 agents.
In recent weeks, Fox 11 has reported on several deportation raids outside LA area car washes, workplaces, and Home Depots.
We don't have support from some of the state legislators here. That's forcing us to go out and do roving patrols.
This is the property of the church.
Kim argues sanctuary immigration policies in California.
You cannot hide in no church. And if you're hiding in a church, the police and the government has the right to go in. Why? Because you're using a 501c. You're using a 501c. Okay? I'm tired of people running to some church thinking that they got protection. If you're using a 501c, hold on, let me tell you what a 501c is. 501c refers to the section of the United States Internal Revenue Code that grants tax exemption status to nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations is labeled 501c. It means nonprofit focused on providing a public benefit, not private, and doesn't pay federal income tax. When you become a 501c, you're an organization providing a public benefit. Okay? Educational, scientific, charitable, religious, operating. Okay? So you're paying taxes. So now you're federal. You're federal. Federal buildings. Let's look up federal buildings. You're a federal building now. Okay, federal buildings. Federal building access. Accessing federal buildings requires a photo ID. As of May 7th, many federal facilities will require a real ID. Okay. A valid photo. Security screening. So, federal regulations prohibit certain items from being brought into federal facilities. So prohibits firearm, weapons, explosive, dangerous chemicals, provides to prevent items from coming in. Okay, so you see that when you're a church and you become a 501c, you automatically lose your rights as a religious organization. So they're not going to tell you that, but they will use it against you.
Yeah, have them conducting these operations.
Because a lot of times, the way the feds win their cases is that you broke 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You broke international law. They're going to get you for transporting human trafficking. They're going to get you for the drugs. They're going to get you for transporting from interstate to out of state. Maybe you took more than $10,000 out of the state. You didn't know it. You know, you got found with drugs, but then you beat all of them. You beat all of them. Then they're gonna get you for a law saying white slave, because the woman in your back seat was white, and they passed a law in 1940. No matter if you're Hispanic, white, or black, it still goes. If you have a white woman in your car and you're transporting her from state to state, they could still use the white slave law against you, and which means trafficking white people or white women from state to state, because they passed a law against black people they didn't like to see interracial in the non-slave states. And when they traveled to the slave states didn't like that, because you'll see a black and a white person together and they'll say, oh, we're from the non-slave states. You're like, well, man, this is a slave state and we don't like that over here. And that's what usually happened. Now, it wasn't the whole state was a slave state. It's just a little section of the area that was a slave state. So they would tell you that in court. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you that this is why because they say you're supposed to know the law. So they'll get you for that, and you'll be talking to your lawyer. I fought the case, I won the case, I beat everything. Why the hell am I in jail? You're gonna find this out 8 years later when you're reading some book trying to figure out, and the whole time you're lying to yourself. Well, they didn't say that. Well, they didn't say that. They didn't put that in the books, but that's what you're in jail for. And that's how the feds went. They will find something
on the street instead of in jails. How do you determine who to pull over, who to stop, and who to ask where they're from?
Without giving away, some of the tactics out there, the vast majority of these roving patrols would just be consensual encounters. And we know where to look, and we know the indicators.
They came up and
Of course, everybody knows where to look. Everybody knows where they are. Everybody knows who they're working for. Everybody knows who's bringing them in. Everybody knows why they're here.
interviewed me and asked me where I was born.
Residents and workers have expressed their concerns and fears.
Everybody's scary right now. Nobody want to come to work.
Well, LA Mayor Karen Bass says
because they're not legal.
The raids are wrong.
But when you raid Home Depots and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, you're not trying to keep anyone safe.
She argues that this isn't making LA safer.
Well, I would argue just yesterday we were doing some roving patrols, and we encountered some folks at a Home Depot. One of those subjects that we encountered was an illegal alien who back in 2015 had sexual intercourse with a minor under 16.
Agents watching the protest even outside their own hotels, saying they won't back down.
Immigrants, those that are here legally, have nothing to worry about. But if you are here illegally, my recommendation is to self-deport.
So I also asked how long they plan to be in the LA area helping ICE, and he responded saying, until the job is done.
That's 3 more years. That's what they're saying. They were saying a couple of days ago that Trump can't run for presidency again, that it's only going to be 4 years. Everybody was like, feeling a little bit sorrow, but hey, we'll see what he can do. But I believe the Republicans will win again. Why? Because with what has happened with the Democrat Party, the only people that could get their votes will be making the illegal immigrants legal. That's how they'll get the votes. And that's what Trump's fighting against. That's why we're having this situation going right now, because Trump is thinking about the future. If I don't get all these illegal out of here, they're going to vote illegally, which the Democrats count illegal votes. And they got kids. And their kids are going to have kids. And they're going to vote Democrat 60% or Republican 40%.
Dorf, Fox 11 News.
So at the beginning of a lot of this, a lot of folks in the Trump administration were suggesting we're really just going after people with criminal records. Just to be clear, that's not really what's happening anymore. It seems like it's a broader scope, right?
Yeah.
coming into the country is a criminal offense to the U.S. taxpayers because you're hurting them by accepting unfair wages. You don't have health care. You get injured, we have to pay. It comes out of our pocket. You go to the hospital, we have to pay. You need a place to stay, we have to pay. You need food, we have to pay. You need all to take care of your kids, we have to pay. And we didn't even get no right to make a decision. When did we get to make a decision?
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a much broader scope. We've seen those raids taking place in public places on the street, outside businesses. It does seem like what they said, they're using tactics, right? But it seems like it's a little more random than just only targeting those that they have a background on.
Meaning if you are an illegal immigrant, or maybe even if you look like an illegal immigrant, you could be questioned.
That's what you could assume. It definitely seems that way anyway. It's also worth noting they're also,
Look, he can be questioned. I could go up to this guy right now and say, hey, are you from Ukraine? And he'd be like, oh, no. Oh, what are you? Oh, I'm American. How many years, what, are you first generation, second generation? He's like, oh, I'm second generation. Where's your parents from? Oh, they're from Iowa. Okay, where were your parents, grandparents from? Oh, from Kosovo and Romania. So you see it going down. Okay, let's go check if they came here illegally. Okay, they came here in 1960 on the Mayweather ship. Okay, we see here. All right, you guys will grant access as long as you land on this island. You guys got your visa. Okay, you're good to go. You see, that's what they will do. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you ask, whether they look immigrant or not. It's basically just a regular question.
So obviously there's these people that have fear as all this is going on, at the same time that they're also pushing this self-deportation out.
They gotta push it, even though these are the anchor babies. This was when Obama was president, right at the end of Bush term, ending of George Bush the second term, then the Clintons, then was it the Clinton, then about whatever. Okay, these.
It makes me emotional.
Okay, you see, she's a little kid now. Okay, these older folks were like this woman when Obama was in office. Okay, now who was Biden was in office right now. So Obama, let's see this. Hold up. I'm confused here with Clinton. Oh shit. Okay. The timeline. So we had, okay, Bush, 1993. Okay, all the kids protesting right now are coming from 1993. So we got 20, 25, take away 1993. Oh wow, so they're 32. They're 32 years old. They already had kids. So those ones that came at the ones that are in their late 20s already had kids too. those are the ones that came with their parents. They were like 18, 17, 16, 12, 8. Then the Clinton eras, wow, you're expected each presidency, the population, the Hispanic population grew by maybe 5 million each year. That's why I say 40 million, because these people are not being counted, the kids they had. So around this time, these people protested came from the Clinton era. That's when they were having all the anchor babies, all leaving the kids in the cages. It wasn't too long ago, but I know a lot of people forget. But remember that. Now, these kids are going to grow up and they're going to be voted against the Republican Party. Not her though, but their effort is going to be against the Republican Party now for a long time in the effort to legalize people who come here illegally.
There is some loved ones that people have, but immigration is taking them.
Fears have grown since the Trump administration rolled back policies that once made schools and churches off limits to ICE raids.
Just let them live their life.
Off limits to ICE raids. Fears have grown since the Trump administration rolled back policies that once made
all the Hispanic schools are 98% Hispanic. All of the Southern California schools. 89% Hispanic.
Schools
not
and churches off
Hispanic.
limits to ICE raids.
Just let them live their life where they are. They're fine where they are in school. School's supposed to be a safe place for them to go.
11-year-old Ariana was one of many kids here with her mom or dad.
Kids shouldn't be targeted, you know? Kids shouldn't have to see their parents get deported, you know? They shouldn't have to be separated.
Quickly advance a bill to block immigration enforcement from happening near schools. It would prohibit ICE agents from entering school grounds without a judicial warrant. It also looks to reinforce protections for undocumented students, families, and staff by banning the disclosure of records and other information. However, the bill does have some exemptions, specifically for warrants, federal program requirements, and violent felony investigations. Right now, the bill is in the early legislative stages, and many local families are paying close attention.
I don't want kids and parents torn apart and going into schools and harassing kids, scaring them into churches. No. The people united will.
Just today, San Diego Unified sent this letter saying their schools are a safe place for students no matter their immigration status. Staff will not allow ICE access without a judicial warrant. Poway Unified sent out an email last week due to growing concerns. The district is reminding parents that public schools in California don't collect or keep information on student immigration status.
It's not about color, it's not about culture, it's about humanity. And I'm part Mexican. My father was an immigrant, and so I'm standing up for what's right.
Jasmine Ramirez, CBS 8.
Wow. Hey, you guys. We still have a lot to talk about. We haven't even touched on a lot of our subjects here. You know, we got a long way to go. We got to talk about the safe school, California values. We're going to hit Medi-Cal. I got to find that real document that I'm looking for. So we'll have a part 2 of this, and we'll go from here and talk more about this. But you know, for now, I gotta go. Thanks for coming by, you guys. Thanks for coming by. Share, subscribe, like, show your support. It really goes a long way. It really goes a long way.